In this Sikha, the Rebbe shows the connection between Parshas Kisavoy and Chai Elul, being that Chai Elul, the Yom Haledes of the Shnei Ma'oros HaGedolim, the two great luminaries, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of General Chassidus, and the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chassidus Chabad, their Yom Haledes, both on Chai Elul, always falls near Shabbos Parshas Kisavoy or on Shabbos Parshas Kisavoy itself. And therefore there must be some sort of connection between the Parsha and Chai Elul. The Rebbe says the name of the Parsha, Savoy or Kisavoy, means to come into the land. And as Chazal tell us that this expression always means once the Yidden had come in, whenever this expression says, it means once the Yidden had taken over the land, settled the land, and furthermore, not only when some of the people came into the land, but it means also after all of the Yidden had come into the land, the 14 years that it had taken to conquer the land and to divide all of Eretz Yisrael as well. And therefore, this idea of Kisavoy, it's not only that Chazal translated to mean this way, but once it's translated and it's understood this way, the word Savoy itself must mean that it contains really these ideas that we fully have the land and fully for all the Yidden. And why is that? Because when we say the word Kisavoy, coming in means coming in completely. The Rebbe gives different examples of when you come into something, it needs to be completely 100%. And one of the examples is going into the mikveh. When one goes to the mikveh, he has to go in completely, can't even have one little tiny hair sticking out of the water. And therefore, says the Rebbe, when the pasuk says Savoy to come in, automatically it's going to mean going in completely into Eretz Yisrael, completely being settled there. And not only a Yid as an individual or a family, but it would mean all the Yidden together, because as a result of Achdus Yisrael, because all Yidden are united, no one is really properly settled until all the Yidden are there. So in summary, the word Kisavoy itself really means coming in completely into Eretz Yisrael, and furthermore down to the last detail of every single Yid. The Rebbe says, now we'll start seeing the connection between this and Chai Elul. Because the whole idea of Chassidus is that in our Torah and mitzvahs, it should also be in a way of Savoy, of really getting involved in it completely, the whole person. There shouldn't be one aspect of the person that's not permeated with Torah and mitzvahs. And just like in Savoy, there's two ideas. There's a general Savoy coming in to the land, and then there's the details of really inheriting, settling it completely. In a similar way, says the Rebbe, when we speak about Chai Elul, there's also two ideas. There's the general Chassidus of the Baal Shem Tov, and there's Chassidus Chabad of the Alter Rebbe, and we'll see how this is connected to these two ideas in Savoy. The difference between the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe explained, the Baal Shem Tov showed how one needs to serve Hashem, which is more like the general idea of Savoy, of coming into the land, getting involved in our Torah and mitzvahs. The Alter Rebbe showed how we can be serving Hashem, becoming an Oved Hashem. That means how to bring it down into practical and into the details, like v'yirishta v'yashavta ba, the idea of really conquering, inheriting, settling in the land. In order to explain this, says the Rebbe, we know that the whole idea of Chassidus is a preparation for Bias HaMashiach. As the Baal Shem Tov said, as Mashiach said to the Baal Shem Tov, l'chshe'afutzu ma'inei sechel chutza. Now in Kabbalah it says that up until the time of Mashiach, all the revelations of godliness are coming from a place called Chitzonius Atik. That means a level within Keser, but still an external level. Mashiach is going to reveal Pnimi is the deepest part of Atik. Says the Rebbe, this will now tell us something about Chassidus as well, because Chassidus is the preparation for this tremendous Gilui of Pnimius of Elikus. What's the idea of Chassidus? Chassidus is about accomplishing a pnimius in the avodas adam, that the person is getting involved in Torah and mitzvahs with his whole pnimius, with his whole deepest internal self, his essence. And this is also why he's going to be drawing down when Mashiach comes the deepest and innermost parts of Elikus. What is the difference between pnimius, that which is the inner, and chitzoni is the external, by a person in the simple sense? Pnimius means as the person is for himself. Chitzonius is already how he's relating to things outside of himself. Practically in Avodah, what's going to happen is, when a person is doing something only in an external way, that means he's not really involved completely with his essence, with his Pnimius, only with his Chitzonius, and therefore him and the thing that he's involved in ultimately remain like two separate things. When a person is involved with a pnimius, really internally, and with his very, very essence, he's investing himself in it completely, then automatically, there's nothing that's outside, external. Whatever he's involved in is going to be completely invested in it with his deepest sense of self, and every single aspect of him is going to become one with this avodah. Says the Rebbe, that's what Chassidus is all about. Chassidus, generally, Nishmasa Doiraisa, the Pnimius of Torah is about the Chayis, is revealing the Chayis of a Yid in all matters of Torah and mitzvahs. And what is Chayis? What is vitality? Chayis is something that's not coming to add a new detail in the body that's now going to get the life. It means the chayis is becoming the vitality, the energy is becoming one with the body. It's giving life to every single part of the body, is now becoming a living body. It's the same body as it was before, but it's fully alive. And the Rebbe says the idea being is because chayis is the pnimius, is the innermost, is the essence of what the person is all about, and therefore it penetrates and permeates every aspect of the person. Says the Rebbe, that's what Chassidus is accomplishing in Torah and mitzvahs. A person can learn Torah and do mitzvahs, but in a way that him and the Torah and the mitzvahs remain two separate things. Him and Hashem are two separate things. Chassidus is demanding and shows the way how every single Yid could reveal his innermost part and his chayas. And as a result of the Pnimi is being revealed, that he is one with the Torah and mitzvahs. Says that Rebbe now will also understand why Chassidus is the preparation for Mashiach, when we're going to have that level which we called before, Pnimi Yisatik, the deepest, innermost aspects of Alikus being revealed. Because when we deal with more external levels, Chitzoini Yisatik, so as far as they're concerned, those from their perspective, there's still room for something outside of Hashem, so to speak. And therefore, even when those levels are revealed in the world, it's still not in a way that's negating the world, or in other words, still saying that the world could also be a separate Metzias outside of Hashem, so to speak. Pnimi Yisatik, on the other hand, this deepest level of Likus is that aspect where there is nothing outside of Hashem. Everything is one with Hashem. Everything is bottled and becoming one with the Metzias of Hashem, the concept that Chassidus speaks about, Einoid Movadid, is nothing besides the reality of Hashem. And that's why Chassidus, who's bringing out the Pnimius of Hashem, the Pnimius of the Neshama's connection with Hashem, reveals this time of Mashiach also when the only reality is Elikus. Says the Rebbe, within the Chayas of a person, we also know there's two ideas, there's two levels. There's something called the Chayas Klali, the general Chayas, which gives the whole life equal sustenance and vitality. There's no difference between one part of the body and the other. And then there's what's called the individual chayas. For each and every limb and organ, for every part of the body, has its own level of chayas. Says the Rebbe, this is really the difference between the chayas, that's the vitality, the neshama, that's revealed through the Baal Shem Tov, and then how it's drawn down on what's revealed through the Alter Rebbe. This is similar to these two types of chayas. The Baal Shem Tov revealed a general chayas, life, vitality, and Torah and mitzvahs, which was expressed through the idea of emunah generally. And even though, of course, it impacts and comes into every single one of the person's faculty and brings chayas into every part of the person, really permeating the person, but it's still not as if the emunah is coming based on and getting involved with the individuality of each one of the parts of the person or the faculties of the person. It's more like a general idea, a general emunah, the general chayes that the whole person is alive and every part of him is tuned into this emunah. This is more like the chayes klali, the general chayes of the person, that yes, the whole person is alive, but you don't see over here necessarily the connection, the individuality of each aver, how it's unique and special. However, the Alter Rebbe came to bring about a chayis, a life into each and every part and faculty of the neshama, also as far as the individuality of that particular faculty is concerned. Similar to the individual chayis, which is measured, limited, and fits with the character of each part of the body individually. And that's the idea of Chabad, Chochma, Bina Das, really to take something in the sense that's clothing itself, getting involved with each idea according to the level, according to that particular inyan and faculty. Now, which one of these two are higher? It would seem to be that the individual chayis is lower than the general chayis. It's more limited, and you would say there isn't that same level of bitul, of that particular aver to the chayas, to the neshama, etc. And nevertheless, there's really an advantage in that itself. The actual fact that the general chayas does not connect personally, individually, with each one of the evarim itself is showing that it's not the ultimate. And of chayas, there's still some sort of place where it doesn't reach, so to speak. It's specifically in the individual chayas which penetrates, which permeates, gets involved in the individuality of each and every limb, where you could say this is really an expression of the deepest and highest part of the chayas hanefesh. Says the Rebbe, the same thing is true with Toras Chassidus Chabad. It's specifically through the Alter Rebbe bringing down the chayas of Chassidus, of the general Chassidus, but bringing it down according to the specific character and faculty of each part of the nefesh. This is really bringing b'shleimus, the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, but bringing it now into each one of the details. That's a much greater and higher idea. Says the Rebbe, now we could see the connection between Chai Elul and Parshas Ki Savoy. The general chayas of Toras Chassidus HaKlalis is hinted in the word Savoy, which means, yes, we're going to come in completely into the avodah of Torah and mitzvahs, but this is still in a very, very general way. What Toras Chassidus HaKlalis gives in, but then there's what the Alter Rebbe brings in, more similar to the second aspect, v'yerishta v'yashavta, where you're bringing in all of that general chayas into the details of your faculties, and that's specifically connected with Toras Chassidus Chabad.